Collision Course is back. Schedule will be on Revolution Radio every Saturday night, 6 to 8 p.m. You get outer space. You get honest answers, real researchers, truthful answers, and a place to engage with questions. Take part in the discussion. Revolution Radio on freedoms.com hosts Collision Course every Saturday from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific Time.
I'm Reverend Medium Tracy Lockwood, and I'd like to invite you to join me as I discuss life from a medium's perspective. I'll be talking about insights that I've gained through readings, with topics like your guides, angels, animal communication, past lives, our transition, and the afterlife. We'll take a deeper look at the metaphysical meanings of symbols and totems, and I'll give you some practical exercises to help you develop your own natural psychic ability. Join me on From a Medium's Perspective.
The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Well, it's time to stumble down the road with host Bridgette Lyn Dolgoff and co-host Jenny Vaught as they carry stones, dig holes, and wield their shovels along the way. On Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. This is not a seated event. As they talk, run, stumble, carry, dig, drag, laugh, fight, sing and pray, dance and kick and scream, and oftentimes fall. Hey, is that a stone or a buffalo chip? Now, here are your hosts for the next 2 hours on carrying stones and digging holes. But I won't be there.
The hell I won't.
Okay, hey everybody. Hopefully my promos have played through and oh, sorry, I'm just kind of discombobulated. Okay, so you've reached Carrying Stones and Digging Holes radio show, and I am on Saturdays. I'm your host, Bridgette Lyn Dolgoff. And I today am going to have a person who is expert, and expert witness on the facts of 5G. And though I've been on other shows with him and also following him for a while, I know that my listeners on my show may have not heard about him. Anyway, he is from the UK, and we are going to actually have a conversation with him today. And we may have, we'll have to see how the show goes, but we, may add somebody on as well. All right. So, hey, Mark, it's Bridgette. Are you there?
Hi, Bridgette. Yes, I'm here. Yes.
Awesome. Yeah. So I'm just going to let Mark kind of ramble on about what he needs to actually, educate the listeners, because it is the first time that he's been on the show. So go ahead, Mark. And you know what? Do you pronounce your name Mark Steele or Mark Steele?
Mark Steele. Yeah, you just, it's just the Steele bit.
Okay, awesome. All right, Go ahead. Ramble on for us. Let us.
Well, everybody, before we get started, I'll give you a little bit of background of me and who I am, but what I want to say to everybody, everything I'm going to say, do your own research, because what I'm going to tell you is unbelievable. All right, it is absolutely unbelievable. And to give you a bit of background about me, I am an inventor. I develop products. I've developed products, waveguides, optical waveguides, weapon sight systems, weapon systems, etc. I've got quite a few inventions, carbon dioxide crackers. I've got a bit of an imagination. Unfortunately, my imagination probably goes as far as the people who've rolled out and who are planning 5G. So we're not talking about the technologists who are developing the products, because they don't know what 5G really is. However, I do. 5G is a weapon system. Let's dive straight in there. Let's tell everybody what it really is. It's absolutely nothing to do with telecommunications for humans. It's telecommunications for machine to machine. You get in between that communication, believers, you would be, well, getting away with without some significant neurological damage. Would be, you'd be lucky. In fact, if you were a bit unlucky, it might even kill you. In fact, if you really want to know what 5G really is, it is a weapon system. It's a target acquiring weapon system. Now, when we talk about autonomous vehicles need 5G. But what 5G does, 5G is radar, it's phased array radar system. So what it does, it actually looks into its environment, interrogates its environment, picks up the target, which is your autonomous vehicle, and fires what's called a high gain signal at target, because you need a lot of data to get that vehicle to move and for you to be able to run it around autonomously. If you get in the middle of that signal, you're in trouble. However, these autonomous vehicles are lethal. One vehicle in the radiation in the midst, not much of a problem. By the time you had 50 or 60 on a road, when I think that's what I think in the USA you have large motorways where you have 6 and 7 across sometimes. You get a number of vehicles on that motorway, believers, and the toxicity levels from the radar, the signal systems, all pumping out microwave radiation, which is in fact class 1 cancer causing radiation. A lot of people who are listening to this might not think that the Wi-Fi is extremely dangerous. Well, it's 2.5 gigahertz Wi-Fi signals that you give rats diabetes. So we know that, in the USA and across the West in particular, got an absolute epidemic of diabetes. But why wouldn't you? In fact, you'd be pretty stupid to think that it had something to do with your diet. Because what I can also tell you in animal studies, when you expose them to this type of radiation, what actually happens, they also put weight on. So anybody who's getting a bit chunky and they've got a really good diet and they're trying to work out what the problem is, just remove your Wi-Fi. Your doctor won't tell you that. Physicians, there's a lot of them who actually just do not know anything about this. And this goes back to where, these microwave radiation signals came from, basically off the battlefield. The first phased array units were used during the Second World War. The Germans had a system, at first in the world, it's called Mammoth in English. And it was a phased array radar system. For anybody who's watched the film Saving Private Ryan, where they actually have the fight with a machine gun nest, that's Mammoth in the background. So that's what it is. It's a big phased array radar. Now, signal systems have come on quite a bit since then. We've got digitization. We've got a lot more compressed information in that energy. It's basically microwave radiation is just an energy waveform passing in air. But obviously, if you attach a lot of information to it, then you start to see a lot of pulse modulation, a lot of amplitude. In fact, the whole thing changes significantly. So it becomes not like natural radiation at all. This is man-made radiation on steroids. Absolutely on steroids. And they will kill you. So we're actually in the unweaponized phase, where we'll see significant increases in young women in the US in particular suffering stroke, neurological disorder, self-harm, mental health issues, which are absolutely stratospheric and crippling to our economies. Microwave radiation. And it doesn't have to be like that. Who needs to download a movie on their phone? Why don't we just use a phone as a phone's supposed to be, to make calls safely? The complication and the more data that's actually pushed in down these waveforms, the more energy, the more dangerous it becomes to biology. And that's what we're starting to see. Now, the latency from exposure to some of this radiation is probably 20, 25 years old. So we've already got an epidemic rising, and we've been exposed to this type of radiation since the 80s with the introduction of 1G. So you had 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G. Everybody thought that was good. We all started getting lots more data, and it all sounded very, very good and interesting. Well, I'm telling you now, 5G is not that. 5G is a weapon system. I'm going to reiterate it. It is not a telecommunications for humans. It's from machine to machine. We aren't machines or biological structures. We allow this 5G system to be fully implemented. We will die. Humans will die en masse. We're already being sterilised by the microwave radiation that they have in schools. They're sterilising your children. These microwave radiation signal systems have only ever been tested against 200-pound males. And obviously body density has a great deal to do with your protective system. So the larger you are, the less damage. It's one of the reasons why we're pretty sure that the reason why animals in tests, when they're exposed to this type of radiation, put weight on. It's pretty clever how biology works and how cell function work to try and protect themselves. So that's where we're at. It's it's an extremely dangerous technology. We've actually had it recently, and how I came across 5G. I was working on a few different projects, and in my near locality, it's a little town in the northeast of England called Gateshead. My local authority have recently rolled out LED street lighting. The design of that street lighting is not very good. It's pretty problematic because obviously optical radiation is something I know quite a bit about. Obviously, having invented a number of sight systems and weapon sight systems, it is extremely hazardous. Consequently, these LED streetlights, in the frequency that they emit light, pulse modulated light, extremely problematic. And I had a number of neighbours, after these lights were fitted, who started to develop nosebleeds. Now, I knew quite a bit about light, and I also know that it's pretty problematic, but it's not going to give you a nosebleed. But on investigation, I found that this particular lighting system had what's called a control management system. Now, I thought that's pretty interesting and pretty dangerous, because obviously if you can control light, you can use it offensively. So you can pulse modulate at certain frequencies. Everybody knows what strobes can do. Well, I can pulse light at certain frequencies, and that make you pretty sick. That can make you sick so you wouldn't even know about it, and that can probably reduce your life expectancy significantly. And you wouldn't know. You actually wouldn't be able to see it. So it can be used as an offensive weapon, and it can be what we call a soft kill weapon. So it'll kill you slowly. The nosebleeds were really problematic because obviously I couldn't get my head around the fact that the LED street lighting couldn't have caused that. However, this control management system, when I noticed there was a small twig on the top, basically an antenna on the top of these LED street lights, I thought that's interesting. Nobody's stupid enough to put a powerful enough antenna on there. That just wouldn't add up. Anyway, I sent a freedom information request. We have that in the UK, and that allows us to, interrogate and ask questions that governments are supposed to, and government agencies are supposed to respond to. So I got a response, and I realised it was an 868 spectrum antenna. That was pretty interesting, because immediately that's sent my radar spinning, because that's a battlefield interrogation signal system. And the reason for it's being an 868, it's in the sub-gigahertz range. So not as I believed, this 5G is going to be something of higher frequency waveforms and operate in a higher spectrum. So It was pretty interesting. So I knew this to be your battlefield interrogation signal system. The reason for the LUA, the sub-gigs, it allows you to interrogate urban areas. So you can see at distance through brickwork, concrete, etc. I thought that's pretty interesting. So more further investigation, and after asking the council a number of significant questions, I then started metering in my near locality where we were seeing significant amounts of radiation. Not radiation that would cook you, because obviously the international regulatory guidelines, that's what they are. They're for short-term cooking values. So basically, your antenna in your mobile phone, it's roughly, they're unregulated about milliwatt. If, let's say, you were to have that next to your head, it would fail the regulatory standards. So that's why you're supposed to keep all these mobile devices away from the body. At distance, they're pretty safe, but they're, roughly 1 milliwatt. And I found out this thing was 25 milliwatt. Well, that's quite interesting. And obviously then found out there was 31,875, each with a roughly 15-kilometre reach, which would blanket from one end of Gateshead to the next.
Hey, Mark.
Yeah.
Hey, could you speak closer to the microphone? You sound kind of like you're kind of far away.
What does that sound like? Is that a bit better?
Yeah, that sounds a little bit better.
Yeah, I think I just had it pointed away from my mouth. So the issue that I had, we've got 31,875, and some of these clever clogs who develop these products are very, very poor at multiplication. And obviously a lot of these, your Wi-Fi in your house, your mobile phone, etc., it's a single individual product that's tested to be safe. So when you're on a bus and there's probably 40 or 50 people all downloading data on their phones and off of some router, I can guarantee you the levels of radiation on that bus are toxic to humans. So public transport, aeroplanes, for instance, trains, aeroplanes, all toxic amounts of radiation, because what those products have been devised for and have passed standards for was what? The emission from one device, not 20, not 50, and most certainly not 31,875 that we had in a very small borough of Gateshead. And that's what 5G is. 5G, its technical parameter is, there's two main technical parameters. One's called densification. So it doesn't really matter what it operates at. I mean, the one we have specifically is 5G, the 868, it's for autonomous vehicles.
Hey, Mark, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So recently, because I've been doing some more studying, just to kind of help, keep clarifying to the public, about how dangerous this stuff is. But I was reading that, okay, say you have a iPhone, right? And then you use the iPhone, and then from the cell phone tower, right? And then you have a data stream that might be also coming through, and then some people have their Wi-Fi on, and then their Bluetooth on top of that and whatever else. And so it was saying that even like one phone, if it was used in the regular way that it's supposed to without all this other stuff, it would maybe meet the standards, right? If you weren't in a public area. But because you download, or there's, like 4 or 5 other activities on the iPhone, the data, the cell phone tower signal, the Bluetooth, and say Wi-Fi, and that's happening all at once. Those are like, increase the danger of just your phone.
It's all called multiplication, and one of the things they don't take into consideration when they do the tests. And it, obviously there's large margins of safety within the current regulatory standards, but they're not standards. They're what's called guidelines. All right, so there are standards for antenna, but they're guidelines when it comes to the amount of radiation that a human can be exposed to. And the reason for that, it's uninsurable. It's not safe. Anybody asks themselves a question, how can you get a product that has a part of it that emits radiation that's uninsurable? The reason why it's uninsurable is because it's harm harmful to humans. Like asbestos, most certainly, the science has always stated that. There's a lot of complications in trying to assess how much radiation a mobile phone or mobile device will emit and how much it actually. So when you actually make the call, there's a lot more radiation coming out the phone. It's looking for a signal or an antenna somewhere to talk to. A lot more radiation when you're making a call. So always have the device away from your body as you're making the call. Once you make the connection, it drops off significantly. The other issue is the distance from the antenna, so the large transmitter that you're at. So you'll find that farmers commit suicide a lot more than people in cities. The reason for that is they're a lot further away from these antennae. So there'll be other issues there, but one of the main issues is distance. So a lot more radiation emitted from a phone the further you are away from that antenna, because it's got to put out a lot more power. And obviously, if you're oriented so that you're between the antenna and your mobile device, so your head's in the middle, that's where you can get neurological disorders. One of the reasons why troops suffering from PTSD, I mean, we've got an epidemic in troops coming back from these war zones committing suicide. I'll guarantee you, if you were to do a scan, you'll actually find they've got brain injury. They've got brain injury from the exposures that they've had from what we call phased array radar. It's a very interesting piece of equipment. It is 5G, by the way. That's what 5G is, target acquiring radar. Not like, as I said, for your mobile device. I mean, I know they're trying to sell 5G mobile devices. I just, well, let's see what happens when people get their 5G devices and they get in between this signal and their device, start downloading a lot of data, because believe us, it's not going to be very pretty.
Okay, I just want to just real quick go over this again. So say, for example, you have a cell phone, right? And you have your Wi-Fi turned on, and say you're in your house, you have your Wi-Fi turned on, your iPhone also reads your Wi-Fi because it's set to that, and it's also running data off a cell phone tower. And so the phone is gonna, when you make a call, is it the same as if I guess it doesn't even really matter at that point. Okay, so as soon as you make a call, then your phone is literally kind of reaching out to whatever medium it can pick up. So it's like searching the Wi-Fi, and then it's searching for the cell phone tower. And then so there's no way that your head couldn't be in the middle between either your phone and Wi-Fi or your phone and a cell phone tower, right? I mean, there's so many cell phone towers and so much Wi-Fi that you're literally not. There's no way that you could keep your head from being in the middle of it all.
You're going to be in trouble. The only application I have on my mobile phone is the phone. Everything else is switched off. So I have the Wi-Fi bit, Bluetooth, everything switched off my mobile device. I only have it on for the telecommunications system. That's it. I wouldn't have it on for anything else, because obviously you are increasing the risk, and it's all about risk. I'm a technologist, so we know that on the battlefield you need to use phased array to be able to see your enemy, because he's going to throw some ordnance at you. So you want to make sure that you can see him and you can see that ordnance coming at you. So I understand the whole idea about 5G, phased array radar on the battlefield. However, cityscapes, towns, we're not on unless somebody's, a government's declared war on us and we don't know about it. I mean, nobody's told me that our government's declared war, but what I most certainly am sure about, we just rolled out a weapons system on top of us. And it's coming to a town in the USA like now. In fact, what's really worrisome in the USA, I've seen some extremely interesting pieces of equipment that look like molecular reactors. Now, I know molecular reactors because obviously I've invented one or two, all right? And I'm absolutely astounded at the equipment that I'm starting to see popping up in the USA. and it looks like someone's building in and around the urban areas reactors that would and could change the molecular structures of air, oxygen in particular. Now, if you start to mess around with oxygen molecules, you start to excite them, there's the potential that your hemoglobin can't pick them up and you will be asphyxiated. There's also the issue of dissociation of oxygen molecules, where you then have a number of oxygen atoms kicking around, they attach to other oxygen molecules and you produce O3. O3 is absolutely lethal to humans. At 50 parts per million, it will kill you instantly. So that's pretty interesting. I'm seeing equipment rolled out currently in the USA that looks very much, without getting into all the technicalities, looks very much like it's going to gas.
So what? Okay, yeah. So what are those? What do you call them? Molecular reactors?
Well, it's just a radiator. They look like radiators. They're very large lumps of equipment hanging on telegraph poles in the USA. I mean, the weapon system that we've had fitted, it's a bit sophisticated. It's basically a target acquiring that can shoot at individuals. Whereas the thing that I'm starting to see coming out of America, I've seen a few images of these large radiators hanging on telegraph poles outside people's homes.
So you've seen those? Okay, so the other thing is too, because remember I sent you a couple of videos of stuff that I, was finding. Yeah. And they're sticking those things on top of people's houses too, like in bunches like grapes. On my videos, I show a couple of those where people have had their tops of their houses outfitted with these crazy 5G things. But have you seen those? So they have this thing where they have like the cylinder on a pole, and it's 5G, right? And then sometimes they'll have a light attached to it, like at a gas station, they'll put the light on the top. Nobody notices the cylinder that's kind of built on the top, below. But these cylinders, have you seen these cylinders that they're building in the US? Have you seen pictures of them?
I don't think I've seen them.
They're called like a cylinder tower, and they have these cylinders on them that are sitting on these giant poles, and then the cylinders on the one video I sent you are not very big. I'd say maybe they're like, 10 inches in diameter, and they go up on top of the pole. And then the biggest one that I just saw here in this area, in the industrial area, that they just built, like, let's just say overnight. And it's so massive that you could probably fit 70 of these 10 diameter cylinders into this one giant cylinder. It's just totally out in the open. It is, when I saw it, I almost like I literally was sick to my stomach and just terrified, because I know that is some kind of 5G thing, and they had to make it so big so that it would go through like the whole, like industrial area.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I mean, like I said, the equipment that I'm starting to see roll out, I mean, God help us and God help America. This equipment looks very, very worrisome, to say the least.
Yeah.
The equipment we've had fitted, it's pretty covert. I came across it by chance, and like I said, I started telling people in my near locality about what it was and my expertise in this particular field. That then necessitated the local authorities, so the local council then tried to gag me. They stated that I was frightening people and I had to be stopped. I was a conspiracy theorist and I had no merit in what I was actually saying. It said that my science was pseudo, absolutely appalling. The science I was actually referring to was Ramzini, NTP's National Toxicology in the USA, some of the very, very well-respected Harvard University studies. So I wasn't really, it wasn't pseudoscience. And in one bit, and they said it was pseudoscience, and they had to get me stopped. So that's what they had tried to achieve, and they failed miserably. Where they record a null and QC, it's quite a very well respected level of a judge in the UK, quite a very well experienced character, and he stated that I was technically competent, that the UK court means legally qualified. So he actually reiterated my knowledge in this particular field. I am an expert in this field. He reiterated that in the court, and he warned the local authority, warned them to open up the democratic process and actually discuss 5G. And he actually stated quite clearly that this was of significant public interest and that the council were obliged to discuss it. And since then, I've had I've had more threatening letters from the local authority. Because one of the things that I put up, if anybody wants to go to my videos, it's 5G Killer Tech, Mark Anthony. There's quite a few there. There's one in particular that got themselves upset. The strategic director of this particular council, he is a director in the country's first local authority, funeral directors. Now, that might not mean a great deal to a number of people. However, I actually wrote to the local authority in 2017 and I sent to them a number of scientific documents to show that they would see an increase in heart attack, cancer and stroke. They're head of the sort of health interface at the local authority because they do have a duty of care in the community. And they wrote to me and stated that the science that I'd sent them was basically worthless due to the fact that they hadn't seen increases in stroke, heart attack or cancer deaths, which is absolutely amazing because they were lying. So people have to ask themselves the question, they had this information to hand, why did they lie to me in that communication? And I believe it's to cover up the fact that they know and have known that this technology will hasten people's deaths. One chap in particular who... Go on, Bridget.
Yeah, so I wanted to like try to simplify things, you know, for like the average Joe that may be listening, right? And so number one, I just want to state that there are and there have been deaths, and women have lost their babies. Their babies have been killed by 5G full term, and this has already been happening. You know that people have already been being killed in places where 5G has been established, and there's two things. So because they're, you know, getting the 5G closer, and where they flip the switch on the 5G, this is where the people are getting sick and they're dying. And also places like Paradise, California, you know, that there's a lot of concern that the 5G that went up in California in May has started these fires.
Well, SMART, anything SMART stands for Secret Militarized Armaments and Residential Technology. I coined that phrase on the back of the SMART equipment actually being part of the military equipment development brought to a civilian setting. Now, 5G is most certainly smart. It's part of the smart grid, smart IoT. It's nothing smart about it. It's a kill grid. Make no mistake about it. I'm not making this stuff up. The fires in California are all down to smart. I know people have seen dual weapons. There are dual weapons, but I'm going to tell you now, if I wanted to fire a dual weapon at any building, I'm not going to fire it at a frequency that you can see. Yeah? So where people have got the images and they are dual weapons, I can see them. I've actually seen imagery on the internet where dual weapons are being deployed. That is a smoke screen. That's not real. It is real, sorry. It's just not what's causing the fires in California. Those fires in California are inexplicable. They are houses just bursting into flames due to microwave radiation technology, smart, where there's an overburden in a building where you've got significant amounts of energy. That's what microwave radiation is. It's just energy in air. So you've got lots of this pulse modulating energy in air, breaking down hydrocarbons, whether it be timber, plastics, whatever's in the building, gassing off, and then all of a sudden you get an ignition, and that home will basically blow up. And that's what you're seeing. You're seeing ignitions where fires are so ferocious, the surrounding flora and fauna hasn't got time to actually catch fire. So basically just blowing them up. Now, could that just be by accident? Is it deliberate? I'm not really sure. What I'm pretty sure about, no military operation are going to put a weapon system into the sky when they can actually just send a signal to your smart meter to blow up your air conditioning unit. It's not happening. You know, military weapon systems, it's all about cost per kill. That's why the Khmer Rouge used plastic bags to kill people who couldn't afford the bullets. It's not about, if I can come into your home through your smart meter and blow up your system and kill you, why would I want to deploy an aircraft? That would be a bit silly, wouldn't it? It's all about pound, shillings and pence. What I'm going to say to people, this is all about pound, shillings and pence. This is a total takedown and a property grab. It's a land grab. It's a property grab. If they can wipe out significant numbers of people who will lose their homes, then someone's going to benefit there in relation to the value of that particular property. What's going to happen? A lot of these insurance companies are going to deny paying for, when this all comes out, that it's actually smart technology that's causing this. The insurance companies will walk away from wanting to pay anybody. So basically, the consumer will lose everything, and they won't be able to get paid out, because it's looking pretty interesting that I think there's already a number of cases where insurance companies are having a go at P&G, and now you've got your own governor in California talking about wanting to bail them out. Absolutely unbelievable, bailing them out from a fire that they've caused. I mean, this is absolutely crazy. America, is a country where I'm pretty sure the private person shouldn't have to bail out. I mean, you probably see that in Europe more than what you would see in the US. I cannot believe how the American population are sitting back and putting up with it.
I know, it's like, I've been watching it and it's just been like so shocking. There were years ago, I was on this doctor's show. She had me on as a guest, and it was like on kind of mainstream radio, but kind of alternative. And she hooked me up to the guy, what was it, Ollie Johansson, and she had him. This was like 6 years ago. And then I think they banned Ollie from coming into the US and actually giving lectures, on the problem with Wi-Fi, smart meters, 5G that was coming. There's I can hear somebody going up and down the steps or something like that in the background.
Yeah, I think it's somebody upstairs in the.
Oh, okay. All right. Just checking.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to talk to people kind of about so like if you have multiple, because sometimes I think that Americans don't really understand this kind of a conversation, or other maybe people don't really understand this kind of a conversation, and some of the information can be over, some people's heads. And so I want to just kind of break down some more basics if possible. So if you have a house, right, and say the whole property, say your house, garage, and everything is outfitted with Wi-Fi, you're not living very far from cell phone towers. You've got some of this weird 5G, getting planted. You've got, smart meters on your house and maybe your garage or your, mechanic studio. And then you've got, then you have your indoor Wi-Fi on. Then you've got an iPhone, maybe a tablet, some computers. So all of that stuff together.
All of a sudden you're living in a toxic environment. Now that toxic environment.
It starts to break down all of the plastics and wood and then use it as fuel so anything can spark it. So can you explain that a little bit, maybe?
Yeah. Well, what actually happens, every antenna emits a signal. It's basically just energy. It's energy in air. That's what it's how you cook food in a microwave oven. It's energy in air, and what happens? The more energy in that air, and the more crosswave, you can actually start to see a pulse modulation sort of signal. And then what happens? You'll start to break down materials. So you can start to see plastics where they start to gas off, and that's when you can sometimes get an ignition. And if you get an ignition, then obviously that energy will burst, things in flames. So basically, you're priming your own building ready for a fire. So if you have a fire, you've already dried everything out. You took the moisture out. You're breaking down the hydrocarbons, all ready for that ignition. And when that ignition comes, then obviously you have the ferocity of a fire. And that's where the issue, and that's what you're starting to see in California, and it most certainly is smart. And I believe it's inadvertent. I don't believe it's deliberate. I think it's inadvertent. I know that might sound a bit strange, but we'll have to remember these. The issue with P&G. P&G is basically the belly of the beast. These organisations are rolling out this smart stuff on top of you, with the help of government agencies. Now, who people are listening to this and just thinking and nipping themselves, going, look, we need to get rid of this smart technology. Believers, it will kill you. It's all part of 5G. 5G is not your 4G, by the way, but the 1G, 2G, 3G, and 4G. We've already seen significant increases in disease from that. Where 5G, obviously, it's just a basic weapon system. And it is here to kill you. Make no mistake about it. I've looked at this. This is economic terrorism. There is no benefit in it. There is no upside in 5G. Everybody talks about there's lots of money to be made and 5G is going to be fantastic. If you kill all your population, they're the people that create all the wealth. If you kill them all, there's no benefit. There's no financial upside. If you give somebody a stroke and then a hospital bed, the implications are absolutely appalling. Not only the human suffering, but the implications on the economy, the US economy, the UK economy. We're starting to see local authorities collapsing, nearly going bankrupt. Gateshead Council have rolled out this technology. It's been in the locality. It came to my locality in 2016, but it's been in the locality since 2013. The economy is now going belly up. That 30 million, so only a small borough, that 30 million and forecast to be 70 million pounds in debt over the next. I mean, obviously, in the scheme of things for the US here, I know that sounds very, very small. However, that debt is unsustainable. The reason it's unsustainable, we've got a massive cost for dementia. This radiation causes dementia. It causes just about every illness known to man, and all the epidemics that we're seeing, whether it be mental health, stroke, dementia, heart disease, it's all caused by the same thing. Microwave radiation reduces your immune system. It leaves you open to all sorts of infection, and that might be the next thing. Drop a
and also mental illness, like severe mental illness.
Absolutely, it is most certainly. Professor Martinell, Pal, he's the expert in this particular field. He has written extensively. He has published peer-reviewed work. People go and have a look at him on YouTube. There's some very interesting lectures on YouTube about this particular issue. He's 100% correct. And that's the same reason why we have recently had a study done. Gateshead Council have recently had a study carried out. I believe it was funded by some associate of George Soros. Pretty interesting. So we've got Gateshead, a test bed for 5G, funded by George Soros' associate to do a study to show that it's universal credit why everybody's committing suicide. Very, very interesting thing that. And what we know is the science shows that microwave radiation actually, in fact, causes suicide, causes significant suicide. We have a university in the UK, Bristol University, they are testing 5G on a campus, they have an epidemic in suicide. We have soldiers coming back from battle space where the same phased array radar, 5G, is being deployed as a battlefield interrogation system, committing mass suicides. So an epidemic there, epidemic in the University at Bristol. We've got an epidemic in Gateshead. It's not universal credit. I'm not saying universal credit doesn't play a part. It's most certainly not universal credit that is the cause. What microwave radiation does, it reduces your immune system and your ability to think correctly and damages your neural pathways. So when you start to hear voices and start ringing in your ears and start to feel a little bit low, and obviously these other factors can all play a significant part, but the most significant part of mental health, most certainly microwave radiation pollution. It is pollution that no one is talking about. That is
it's poison. Yeah, it's super toxic and poisonous. And the other thing too is it's cumulative. So it accumulates, just like it accumulates, like, you know, in your building, you know, with it breaking down things, it accumulates in your body and breaks things down as well.
There's absolutely accumulation, same as X-rays, all types of radiation. It's just, you know, I mean, you know, it's quite interesting. In the UK, we've been asked by government, everybody's been asked to put more money into their pensions. I can tell you now, you're not getting them. You know, that's how serious this issue is. This radiation impact, and especially from the 5G, I actually have no Wi-Fi in my home. I've never had Wi-Fi for quite a number of years when I realised how dangerous it was. Because obviously, weapon sight systems operate at the terahertz range, not in the megahertz or gigahertz range. So I never thought they were as dangerous at all. And it was only after actually getting involved with a number of projects and some other scientists in the USA who had identified some of the gaming headsets and how lethal they are. Some people had actually identified, the Google Glass device, and it basically pointed out to me that the antenna would fail the FCC standard. Well, what they didn't know, what I knew, pouring optical radiation from projecting into somebody's eye as a retinal display, that'll kill you. So I'd actually contacted this guy, as it happens, unfortunately, he passed away a while ago, an eminent professor at Columbia University, and I spoke to this chap and I was explaining to him the real danger from these gaming headsets is optical radiation, and he was explaining to me the other danger, the added danger of microwave radiation, which, to be honest, I didn't really understand at the time, because obviously higher up the frequency range you're dealing with a completely different thing. And that's when I really started to take note of what I call killer tech. These technologies actually coming out of universities and product development manufacturers without any regard to human health. And that's a paradigm shift in product development, because all products and the law is based in around for good. So what you can't do, I can't make products that make people sick. And I started to notice that there was a significant number of products that were being developed and built and sent out across the world for children to use that would make them sick. So that was really, from my perspective, that was in breach of the law. Because the law, like I said, is all about for the good. And these technologies are not for good, they're for evil. They're for evil. In fact, the people who are behind them are monsters, absolute monsters. And it is quite interesting that a lot of the people who are behind this technology do not allow any of their children either to have it in their schools or to have it in their homes, which is absolutely appalling. Because that then tells you that it's not just ignorance why they roll this technology out on the rest of the population, but that they know how dangerous it is, and that's why they don't have it. It's the reason why I don't have it in my home. Now with 5G, that decision's been taken away from you, because what they're going to do is roll up an antenna at close proximity every couple of 100 yards from a home it's going to acquire what they say, an autonomous vehicle, but it's also going to acquire you in your home. Because obviously that's what the technology is capable of, so that's most certainly what it will be used for, to spy on you in your own home, and if need be, acquire you.
So so we have about 6 minutes in this hour. So I don't know if Mark's going to be with us on the second hour or if we're going to have an added guest continuing the conversation. But one thing that I wanted to talk about is Mark was exactly spot on when he said that, whoever we want to call the powers that be, right, that seem to be ruling us and maybe ruling us behind, the political systems and stuff like that. But they do not use the same things that they give us. And he's completely right. So one thing is, about 18 years ago, I was working with these people, and they were kind of with more of the more elite people. And it's when I found out that these elite people only go to doctors that don't do prescribed medication. They don't take the medications. They have other, doctors that they see that's in their group that, and they also usually have people that grow food for them completely as clean as possible. They also have people prepare the food for them. They eat completely different. Everything is the opposite. So they would, at this point in time, they would have areas where the Wi-Fi, and you know what, Mark, it makes me think about why so many of them have been building underground bunkers, because they said that the 5G won't be able to penetrate the soil below, just on top. I think you talked about that as well. So they could be underground while they did some really big giant pulses and kill off, large amounts of the population, or burn down, large amounts of the population and eradicate us.
It's not going to save them, Bridgette. Absolutely not going to save them.
You don't think so?
No,
okay.
Without a doubt. No, they die. I think what's happened, there's a lot of people out there who probably know a little bit that I know about, and have those ideas, and probably think, well, I've got the resource, I'll build a boat, I'll be okay. Another one. Because what's going to happen, right, to the nuclear power station that basically implodes, because the engineers who fix the pumping system that keep the reactor cool aren't there. What actually happens when you have the energy, the microwave radiation energy, enter that reactor and start to excite the nuclear systems within the power station, you've got nobody to cool it down. All of a sudden, you've got yourself a bit of an issue with the nuclear reactor. Now, it doesn't matter where you live down or go underground. What are you going to do? Live underground for the rest of your life? Because that's what they're going to have to do by the time you lost control of.
How many? Okay, so we have like 4 nuclear bomb making plants, right? We have all kinds of plants here in the U.S. that have never been cleaned up. One just got burned down by 5G in L.A. We have nuclear fallout. People don't even get it. And then we have 250 of them that are still operating here. Can you imagine there's just maybe the whole planet won't survive. It'll just half of it'll just get blown off into the ethers.
That's what I'll keep saying. I'll keep telling people this 5G will kill everything. We already have evidence of smart meters in British Columbia. In fact, Professor Curtis Bennett, they've already got evidence of smart meters and a number of smart meters in British Columbia breaking down the concrete with the resonant frequency from that many crossed wave energy forms, where they're starting to see resonant frequency breaking down the concrete bond wall, right, in the reactor core. This also breaks down stainless steel. This will break down metals. It will break down materials. They will fatigue the materials to a point where they'll just become brittle. No different than when you put a robot into a nuclear reactor, where you're cleaning the water up.
Yeah. So they can make, so I just am trying to branch this out in a way where people can wrap their minds around it. So what he's saying is that in this particular area, and they've already noticed that things are breaking down. They have proof that it's breaking down from like the 5G and things like that. So it could actually make a bridge bad.
You've just seen a bridge in Genoa. Yeah, you've just seen a bridge in Genoa.
It could make like the railroad tracks bad. It could make all the infrastructure fall apart even faster.
Everything.
You're saying.
No, without a doubt. It will definitely have a detrimental effect in a university where you're doing any sort of experimentation, biological experimentation, absolutely worthless. When you're in a hospital and they take a blood sample from you, by the time that blood sample gets to the lab, it's already changed its characteristics. Because what they actually testing is completely different from what they took out of your body. Once you put that into a test tube, and that test tube acts as a lens for the microwave radiation in that blood, this is unbelievable.
I mean, this is the thing is, just getting the right blood sample from the right person and getting it labeled right. I tell people, because that's what I specialize in, is healthcare, that, there's no way that you can be diagnosed properly and your blood's going to be completely contaminated. And then the 5G in the hospitals. I mean, talk to us about how extreme you think that the 5G stuff or the Wi-Fi stuff is in the hospital. I mean, you could literally probably die of a stroke, even though that's not what you went in for the hospital for.
Exactly. Well, we know that anybody exposed to microwave radiation increases their blood pressure, breaks down the blood-brain barrier. We know that. So consequently, the more you get, the more it's going to break down the blood-brain barrier, the more it's going to increase your blood pressure. That's a stroke.
Right. And so you've got, so you got all these doctors carrying tablets. You've got all these nurses carrying tablets, the phlebotomists, the lab people, and then all the Wi-Fi infrastructure through the whole hospital. Anyway, we're going to a break. 4 minutes.
All right, yeah. I'm in it there now.
You're listening to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, and we'll be right back after this message.
Hello, all you good-looking people out there in Revolution Radio. This is Mario. I invite you to join me Thursdays at 6 o'clock for this, that, and the other.
Can you jump on Skype and do the rest of this hour in America now?
But ultimately, it's a show where we try to have a little bit of fun. We discuss some different topics. And we do
10
our
minutes.
best to be able to.
10 minutes. Literally
So I
10
invite
minutes.
you to put on your favorite pair of comfy sweats, your smoking jacket, and have a beverage of your choice.
All right, you've got to be in the computer, you can take off your phone.
6 o'clock. For this, that, and the other. On Revolution Radio.
All right, I'll leave now. All right, leave all that.
Enter into a world unseen on Raven Star's Witching Hour. You will encounter eclectic topics from the realm of spirit brought into our matrix of truth. With your host, the Solaris Blue Raven. Solaris will bring you an array of unique guests covering topics from ghostly spirits to amazing anomalies, covert technology, UFOs, and shadowy global events.
And that's right here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, Saturdays, midnight till 2 a.m. Eastern Time. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
Let the magic rise.
From the astral realms to the physical plane, the halls of power to the walls of home, the multiverse to the innerverse, all will be haunted by the ghost in the machine. I am Steve Zerloff, the ghost in the machine. Mondays, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Studio B. Exclusively here on Revolution.Radio.
This is Barbara DeLong, host of Nightlight Radio, inviting you to join me on a cosmic journey, exploring a metaphysical montage of spiritual material, covering everything from the mundane to the magical, UFOs to unicorns, and everything in between, including spiritual readings for those who seek enlightenment. Let Nightlight provide you with equal measure of light, love and laughter, insight, wisdom, and inspiration. Monday nights, 10 to 12 p.m. Eastern, right here on Studio B, Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com.
The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Everybody, this is Bridgette Lyn Dolgoff, and this is Carrying Stones and Digging Holes radio show. And today we have Mark Steele on, and I started out just being totally. I've got feedback somewhere. Oh. All right. Okay, I think that's better. Okay, feedback's off. All right, so anyway, this is Carrying Stones and Digging Holes, and it was going to be an intense morning anyway because I knew I was having Mark Steele on, and so I already got up this morning and cried and went through my whole emotional thing before I got on the radio with Mark, so I could be strong and ask the right questions because 5G is just like chemtrails. It's just something that. The stuff that I'm seeing, out in the world is buckling me in such unbelievable ways. And I can't believe that people can't see it. That's the other thing that just blows my mind. So anyway, Revolution Radio is 100% listener supported. So you can go on to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You can find me on Studio A on the schedule area and down where the bee is flying with the pollen towards the flower. And you can click on that, and there's some beta about me, and also if you want to contact me. And then also while you're there, please look at our funding page and help fund us and buy seeds and so we might the thing is I'm just thinking a lot about all these people who for the last 10 years have been prepping people for nuclear fallout or currency collapse or any of this other stuff, and it's the bottom line is that we're probably not going to survive the chemtrails and the 5G, and the 5G is up in California, and so there's several things and reasons why people are dying from the 5G. Number one, it's producing fires, right? It's totally producing fires. It's not only burning people's, wall off with their smart meter, catching their phones on fire, or exploding them, at gas stations, exploding, gas tanks. But it also can, microwave you. It can damage your own, human frequency, and it breaks down and damages everything in your environment, which can't be good also for breathing and off-gassing. It's can majorly and has majorly broken down its infrastructure, including concrete, steel. It's being implemented, worldwide. So the other thing too is that it also can kill us by, I'm still not sure about it, but either stealing the oxygen or changes the oxygen into a molecule, H3O, I believe, that will suffocate you to death. So however strong it is in your environment, it actually maybe can suffocate you slowly or suffocate you massively. And I guess it depends on how many 5G things that you have that's within your vicinity on how fast it can suffocate you to death and how long it'll take to, I don't know. Does it change the oxygen into H3? It changes H2O to H3O, or does it actually still the H2O?
No, it's O2. It's O2. It's quite an interesting thing. One of the big telecoms companies in the UK is called O2. It's 60 gigahertz. A 60 gigahertz signal gets caught in air, gets attenuated in air, and what that does, that can then excite the oxygen molecule. Now, if you excite the oxygen molecule, we're not really sure, but you may not be able to pick it up in your hemoglobin. That will asphyxiate you. However, if I pour enough amplitude into that 60 gigahertz frequency, what I can do, I can actually break the covalent bond. It's the bonds that tie atoms together to make molecules. So if I break that oxygen molecule, well, dissociate the bond, and then you end up with oxygen atoms. If that atom then attaches to another oxygen molecule, as it will, that then creates what's called O3. O3 is absolutely lethal to biological life. It is used to destroy all bacteria. So basically wipe out everything. It'll kill anything that requires oxygen to live, which is just about everything. So it wipes out everything that we would know to be human, biological, wildlife systems, everything. It would absolutely wipe them off the face of the planet. So consequently, we know how dangerous that is. And like I said, I'm starting to see reactors in America, that molecular reactors that actually look very much like that's what their purpose most certainly is. Not like telecoms at all. Got lots and lots of power going to them. We see them hanging on telegraph poles in the US. Very, very worrisome. Sort of looks to me very, very worrisome technology.
So how big does something like that have to be to kill a neighborhood? I mean, obviously, if it's you have a 5G on your house, how long do you think it would take to suffocate you to death? You think it's slow, or I guess it would depend on how many systems you have around you, right? Is how fast or slow that could happen.
Well, no, that's the equipment I'm seeing rolled out in America that is suggesting of 5G. But our definition of 5G here is something a little bit more sophisticated. It's basically radar. And it has what's called a dielectric lens, so it can actually focus the signal at a target. I know if anybody doesn't believe that, go and have a look. It was in Bloomberg where they were been testing the 5G. They've been shooting wild boar in the jungles. What they've been doing is target acquiring the porcine wild boar, and then they've been shooting them. Now, I don't know if anybody knows anything about weapon systems, but testing them on porcine is quite a regular thing. So you bring out a new munition, you get a few pigs, and then what you do is either shoot them, blast them, blow them up, whatever, because they look very much like humans when you chop them up. So consequently, the test in South Korea, go and have a look, was in Bloomberg. This was in the mainstream media, where in the South Korea Olympics, they were using 5G to shoot at wild boar in the jungle. So we know what 5G is. 5G is basically a weapon system masquerading as a telecommunications system on the back of autonomous vehicles. So it's all interconnected. So you've got autonomous vehicles, electric vehicles. All this technology absolutely hasn't been thought out correctly. It's extremely problematic, and it's something that people need to get up to speed with. I think the people in California who've had their homes blown up, they should be getting up to speed by now. Let's see. So
you're saying, okay, so our systems here, the ones that you're seeing, because you're being shown photos, people are sending you video, people are sending you all kinds of stuff to get your kind of opinion. Ours is more significantly more dangerous.
Looks like it to me, yeah.
And more military.
Well, no, I wouldn't say the military. The equipment we see is basically off the battlefield. The equipment that I'm seeing rolled out in America, I don't know where I've never seen anything like that before.
Wow, so we're like a test. We're being like a whole nationwide test, right?
Yeah, I think America's under attack. I think you need to get yourselves organised, do something about it.
Yeah. So okay. So all right. Anything? While we're waiting for somebody that might join us as well. Is there anything else like you want to talk to people about?
Well, interesting story. What actually happened to Lee? If we can get Lee on, I'm hoping that he's going to join us because I do have to pop off in 5 minutes. Lee's a guy who came to me. He lives locally. His son started bleeding from the nose inexplicably, and he's been having a terrible time with the local authorities, police, where he's been intimidated, harassed. All sorts of, let us through the door where they threatened him. He owed them money. He's been assaulted in his own home. The mayor's associates of the mayor actually came to his home, dragged him out of his house and attacked him in his own garden. That was all reported to the police where he has witnesses, etc., and the police just haven't done anything about it. So, this is absolutely serious, and I've got no doubt that, in the fullness of time, we will win this. Make no mistake about it, because what's happened, because we've discovered the technology, it's too early. We're 3 years ahead of its full implementation, and consequently, you can't go too early. And I suggest America's in exactly the same position. No doubt in the next few years, they might start hanging those big radiators outside our homes. However, the people are starting to wake up, and I suggest anybody in America who's listening to this, do your own research. You'll find out it is exactly what I'm saying it is, and it is extremely dangerous, and it's up to the people to start standing up and wake up to what's actually going on. Now, obviously, things are changing around America. You've got Donald Trump there who's shaking up the political system. The people need to get organised and start shaking it up as well, because believe us, we as humans are under attack. Most certainly under attack. This technology's never been safe. It was never safe. It's always been, after the war, these signal systems were put in telegraph poles were put up, and these signals were put into cables. They were put into cables for a reason, because they're dangerous. And since the 80s, with all this TV, Sky, all these different organisations where they're pouring this radiation out into the environment, the more complicated it gets, the more digitised it gets, the more dangerous it has become. Let me see if I can raise Lee.
Right. So, okay, so do you need to go? Just let me know. I know that you have some stuff that's going on, so I'll try to figure out what to do with the rest of
Bridgette,
the show.
Well, Bridgette, I'll tell you what, if you can try and link to, I've got Lee, I've invited him in on this call.
Okay, let me see.
If you can search for Lee.
Okay, well, hold on one second. So let's
see if you can
let me look on here. So what's his name, Lee? Or what's his link name?
It's Lee Garrett.
Okay, let me put it on here. L-E-E.
L-E-E, yeah. Garrett. G-A-R-R-E-T.
Okay, let's see. Okay, one more time. Lee, L-E-E-G.
A-R-R-E-T-T.
Lee Garrett, right?
Yeah.
All right, let me see. All right.
I'll put him in a group chat there with you.
Right. Hold on. Let me just see if I can find him. Just 1 second. Let me just see if I can grab him since he's on your. Whoops. Since he's on your chat. Let me see here. Let's see. Okay. And let's see. Lee. I don't see Lee Garrett on here. On the chat here. Did you put him in the private one in yours?
Yeah, there's two group chats. There's one just with me, you, and Lee in.
Okay, hold on a second. Let me see if I can find. No, I can't find Lee at all to get him friends to get him on. So let's see. Let me just see here. I'm gonna just see if I can find this. Is it live at Lee Garrett?
No, I mean, he's not live at the minute. Let's see.
Okay. Because sometimes the name is different than the thing. So I'm just trying to figure it out here to see if we can get him on to talk to him. If you can you send me his link in the other one?
I don't know how to do it, to be honest. Bridget.
Okay. All right, hold on a second. Let's see. Let me see. Okay. Can you put a good spelling in there for me? Because I can't see if he's been added to. I don't see him added to the chat room here. Let me see.
He's definitely, I've definitely added him to the chat room. Yeah.
Okay.
I've actually got, it's under your, let's have a look at this one. I'm going to add him to this one. Can you see the one with 13 others? Can you see that one?
See which one? Let me look. Okay, so I can see your other one too, but I don't see anything in there. And then I see this one, this chat, and I'm looking at the chat, and it doesn't have, after I put the Save Us Now post on the studio chat that you have people added to, I don't see anything after that, like that you've added him.
Mm-hmm.
The evil trolls. Can you re-add him? See if it comes up.
Yeah, that's his name there.
All right.
That's his name there. Okay, God. Let's see if I can add him again.
So anyway, we're working on technical difficulties.
It's always the same. Well, since they've changed it, they've made it a lot more difficult, haven't they?
They have made it, and they're kind of let's see, because I see like all the other people that you added to it, but no Lee Garrett.
I've just added the 2 years to it.
Okay.
You should get him there.
Okay, hold on one second. Okay, I don't see him showing up there, so let me go in here and look over here real quick. Okay, here's something. All right, hold on. Okay, let me do this real quick. Hold on. Let me get this, copy, and then go back. All right, guys, hold on. I have to do everything. I produce, I do it all. So I'm gonna see if I can get this added to my Skype. And let's see, invite friends. Okay, so one mutual connection, Lee Garrett live, and then it has, that must be the one that he's on, right?
That's the one he's on. Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I'm going to click him, and then
you click him and send him the invite.
I'm going to add him to the call. So hopefully it will call him. Let's see if we can get him on. Okay, here it's going to ring him. And then once I have him, you can disconnect or whatever if you need to run. Hold on. It's ringing. It's ringing. His Skype is ringing him. His Skype phone is calling him, but I don't see that he's answered yet. Okay. It's ringing. It looks like it's ringing. It's ringing. It's ringing.
Well, you just keep on ringing that. I've just put him on the phone. He's definitely coming on, but he might be another couple of minutes, all right? Because he actually wasn't in the house. Okay.
Okay. So, all right. So.
Sorry about this, Bridget. I'm going to have to go out.
Yeah, no worries. All right, Mark.
This is fantastic. Like, that's just to finish off. Tell everybody, get the word out.
Yeah, everybody
already know.
Get the word out. Yes.
Everybody listening to this, get the word out. This is really important, right? Speak to you soon. Cheers for that, Bridget. Thanks now. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, everybody. So now what we're doing is Mark Steele left, so now we're just waiting for, I don't know, maybe he's on. Let me see. Oh, here we go. All right, so he may be busy for a couple minutes, so we're just going to keep calling him and see if we can get him on. Anyway, Lee Garrett, and we'll see if it's going to ring or not, if he's going to be able to get on. And we'll just see what happens. So that's kind of like what's happening. So anyway, just want to just talk about, so the other day I was just going to tell this story. So I keep seeing these like, cylinders that are being put on posts everywhere. So it's almost like they've stopped building the cell phone towers and they've started building these cylinders, and so they're going up all over the place. So I had to go over to the Sparks kind of industrial area off McCarran and Mill, for those people in Reno and who know the area. And a friend of mine had cooked some turkeys for the homeless. Last winter I helped Food Not Bombs feed lots of people over the winter. This winter I'm a little bit further out of town, and so I can't really afford to do that. So I have people that are helping me. So I did the Thanksgiving dinner, and on my way over there to pick them up at her place of employment, I saw it had been maybe like a month since I'd been over there, and within a month they had built the most behemoth, largest cylinder tower that when I saw it, I literally probably choked or probably gasped. I mean, that's how unbelievable like the whole situation was. And so I was pointing it out to her that it was there, and it went up so fast that she can see it right out of her work door when she leaves to go to the parking lot, and she didn't even notice it. And, it scares me because I think, maybe it is one of those generators that, Mark was talking about that can, change the oxygen, immediately, and kill, large amounts of people. So, I mean, this is serious. Like, we're not like talking hypothetically that it will kill people. It's already doing it. It's some of them, can produce H3O, which kills you, suffocates you from internally to externally. And the fires that they're using, to basically burn down everything so that they don't have to pay people for their homes or their property, or try to force them out of it. If they, have a Agenda 21, which is, get them moved all into the cities, but also to get these, high-speed rail systems and all this other stuff that's going to go along with their smart cities. They've got to, get us slaves, transported to back and forth where we need to go. And then also the microwave radiation that is coming off some of these, not some, but where there are 5G, that it actually is, killing people. It's actually, women are ending up, with pregnancies at full term because this stuff really affects water. So the womb, the baby being in the water, basically, kills the baby. And so there's a lot of women right now in these 5G areas in the UK that Mark's talked about where it's already a genocide. These people that already have 5G, villages or gated communities where they're testing this stuff, they're already massive amounts of people are dying. I remember Mark talking to me about how he had people that were supposed to testify because he's working on some kind of trial or there's something that's going on with the courts. And so one of his main people that was going to testify didn't even survive the 5G, like died months before that they were even going into court. So, this is like really serious stuff, and it's mass extermination. And not only is it mass exterminations of, he talked about body mass and how, if you're bigger and you're larger, like your body's naturally producing a lot of fat if you're in a lot of Wi-Fi because it's trying to protect you. So not that you're going to survive it, but it takes longer maybe to have the effects of the 5G. So out the gate will kill insects. Everything that is smaller than us will die first. And that includes children. And if not infants, and so it's like, people, we're like beyond shocking. And the thing is like this stuff has been implemented. This is not like, we're making stuff up. Their goal is to finish it off in 3 years worldwide so that they have full control over us. So if we decide to protest, they can just, flash out whatever they need to flash, and then it sucks all the oxygen out of the air, and then everybody drops dead. No blood, no nothing, just, bodies dropping dead. So they're easier to clean up and remove, and there's less toxicity that's involved. I mean, let's just think about this for a minute. All right, let me see if I can I can get this guy on. Hold on, I'm going to try to dial him again. So I'm not sure. Doesn't seem like I'm being able to get through. And anyway, we'll just keep calling him until. So I'm going to try to do something else over here. I'm going to like see if I can. I'm going to see if I can add that. And I think this has got to be it. So let me just do this. Hi, Lee. Let me put this on here for a minute. I can't spell. Sorry, Lee. Let me see. Okay. Hold on a second. Yeah, no. So I'm just trying to do this really quick. Sometimes, you know, it's like we have to like educate people on technology. And so what I'm doing is I'm talking to Lee by Skype and explaining to him that he can't get his phone hooked up. So I'm just trying to explain to him to like answer the phone. So let's see, on Skype is a oh, you know what? I wonder if he can. Oh, you know what? Can you let me see if I can do it this way. Sometimes you gotta, you know, work it to get Skype to work. Sometimes you gotta work it. You gotta like be smarter, and you have to like work every angle to see if you can get this to work. Okay, let me go back here and see if we can if I can ringy dingy him now. Let's see. We're working on it. Okay, let me see if I can get him. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Oh, he's got a green dot. All right, so at least he has a green dot now. So we're green dotting. So let's see if it'll call him. He's saying that I think that he's having problems with it on his side, but he's under attack. So what do you expect? I spent like, I don't know, I think Lenny and I spent like 20 minutes trying to be able to just talk Skype phone yesterday. So that doesn't appear to be working. Let's see. Maybe he's on. And hey, are you on? Can you just, I can't hear you. It says, let's see what it says. No, he might be on and he might be muted, or maybe he can't talk. It's kind of weird. All right, let's try this again. I'm gonna do this again. And then, oh, maybe it's the wrong one. I don't know. There's a whole bunch of Lee Garrett's here, so I have no idea. So let me go back here to see if I can find this. Okay, so let's see. He needs to kind of accept me. So let me see if I can accept him on. Let's see. Add on Skype. Okay, hold on. Add to contacts. Okay. Now let's try to call him. I went through a sneaky way to see if I can't get him on. So hold on. Okay, hold on a second. Hold on. Try again. And this happens. That's why sometimes, you know, like I try to make sure that before I have like the guest on that I actually, you know, call and contact them beforehand, because sometimes see. And so I think this is it. Let's try this. I don't know. It says something else on it. Okay, let's see. I can't tell if this is nope, I don't think that's it. Okay, hold on a second. Let me see. So I just don't know. Okay, let me go in here and see what I've got, and then let me do this. Invite more people. So let me do. Maybe it's a different Garrett, and so it comes up with this, but I don't know if that's it. Okay, let me see if I can ring this person in, because it's live B. Okay, we're good. Now let's try this again. Okay, here I am back. All right, so anyway, so let's see. You know what? I'm just not going to be able to get Lee Garrett on, so let me go and see if Miss Mona, let's see if Miss Mona is available to get on and talk. Oh man, here we go. Hold on a second. Okay, let me see if I can get Mona to come on and talk to me about 5G for 30 minutes. And then that way we'll just finish out the show. Would love to have Lee on, and I will ask Mark to contact him, and then we can get him on and have a conversation. So I'm going to bring Miss Mona, Red Rover, bring Mona on over. So let's see if we can get her on. Because Mona has been helping. So we found Mark. We found Mark Steele. And let's see if she's getting on or not. Hey, Mona, can you hear me? Are you there? Let's see. Yep, looks like, Skype is just acting super. Mona, are you there? All right, you made it.
I can hear you. Okay, I gotta shut you off though. There you go. Whoops. Okay, yeah, you had a whole house there, man. 2, 4, 6, 7.
All right. Okay, so let me. Oh yeah, we're still on air. Okay, everything's good. We're still on air. All right. So you and I, you found Mark's like a month ago. You found one of his 5G videos on his YouTube channel, and then sent it to me, and then I totally freaked out. So then I started contacting Mark, and Mark was just starting kind of to try to get out in the public. And so we started moving him around to different shows to get him on. I don't know, the things that we've learned, makes everything else that we know a deal breaker. People have to do something about it, because nothing is going to be able to save you, even if you think you can move to Timbuktu and grow food.
And that's exactly what I have been feeling. And I do not like to feel so let down that we've got end game and that we're annihilated. If people would wake the F up and say, look, ask yourselves this question. Do you want to keep being a slave, or do you want to have a future for your children? Just like he said, our future is sterilized at the point we're at now. I had to rewatch The Children of Man, where the youngest person was 18 because we destroyed our future. And then this miracle happened, and one girl, after 18 years, ended up pregnant. We don't have 18 years to recycle for this stuff. That was just a movie. Oh, and then marijuana, they could grow it, It just seems like it's so calculated. Get them all stoned. They won't know any better. Oh, bull effing crap. There are just times where I'd like to choke everything. And I don't mean that insensitively, but this planet's had enough. Can you imagine what this is happening, not just to life, but the planet itself? Oh, God, Bridgette, did you see where they're dumping frack water in the Yellowstone volcano? I mean, what else could happen?
Yeah, I know. Well, this is the thing. Did you see all the stuff with the okay, so they're in the process of dumping like unbelievable amounts of radioactive water from trying to cool the rods, at all the 4 blown up Fukushima plants. They're going to dump it like into the ocean. And if you look at like some of the heat, infrared stuff, you'll see that it, it's boiling. The water has a tendency to boil close to those reactors, right? But they're going to dump a huge more, into the ocean because they don't really know what else to do with it. And nobody's going, excuse me, like this is like just, and it's like billions of gallons. And then
you cryogenics. Then why the FNA don't they have a way to cool these flipping rods?
Right. So Taiwan is, there's a beautiful Dana girl or something like that. There's a person who, that's all he reports on is the ocean, the Pacific Ocean, Fukushima and stuff like that. And I follow him. But he was saying that there's like this weird bill or something in Taiwan where they're going to force Taiwanese people to basically buy Japanese radioactive food because Japan can't sell their food because nobody will take it. And China will not take it at all. And China will not buy any kind of ocean creature for the last, like something like 5 years out of the Pacific Ocean.
I mean,
well, that's the other thing.
Help.
I know. So, but the thing is like, so the 5G, this is the part that really, I see the 5G coming, but the thing that really upsets me, that lately, like I said before the show, I just had to sit down and bawl because, I know about all this stuff. Like you, I've been
I do. I'm right there next to you, but I haven't started crying.
I know. But the thing that really like bit me was that they allowed the Woolsey fire to burn down that supersite nuclear power plant that had been decommissioned and they never cleaned it up. And people just don't even really get that we have like nuclear fallout here on the West Coast. And so depending on where the wind blows, blows it up north or blows it into Arizona, Texas, and New Mexico. It could blow it up into Nevada. I mean, like,
it was so bad yesterday. We were supposed to have some icy weather, and of course people freak out around here, and it's really stupid. But anyways, that all I could smell for like 24 hours was death. I thought the goose pool was so dirty. I'm like going, nah, the goose pool ain't that dirty. And then when I walked out front, it smelled the same. So before any of the weather that came through, which we got rain, and it didn't get cold enough temperatures to ice up like they tried probably. But it was, a dead smell. I even put it on my Facebook post. Like, it smells so dead around here. And I don't know why. Because I'm in a pretty, safe area. Well, I can't say that, can I? I've never smelled death like that before. You know what it's like when you come up against your possum under the house or something like that, death. It was oh gosh. It's crazy.
I did search and rescue for a while, years ago. And all we did was really body bag. And we never really rescued anyone because, here in Reno, we have a lot of avalanche country. So usually by the time we get to an avalanche, there aren't any survivors. So you have to wait till spring, till somebody calls you because there's like an arm sticking up out of the ice and that, the coyotes are starting to eat the body. So then you can go in and start bagging them. And then the other thing is that I don't think we found any children ever when I was in search and rescue that were missing. The other thing too is that we body bagged males who committed suicide, either, basically in the outdoors. And so back then there was like a huge suicide rate. They'd either hang themselves from trees if they could find them in the desert, but mostly just shot themselves in the head. And so you get used to like, and not used to it. You'll never get used to the smell of death, but death's bad. And then, in the hospital stuff too that I've done, also, death there as well. So,
like you have a cold too.
Yeah.
You got to find a way to de-stress because that's what they want us to do. As I get ticked off about this stuff, I realize that that's their intent, is that they get fed more of my anger and that they get to do it more and more because that's the way life works.
Well, but this is the part that bothers me the most, is that I'm at the point where, I'm trying to stay away, me personally, because of everything that I know. I mean, number one, I'm homeless because I provide people with truth information, and a lot of it they don't like. And a lot of people don't like me, and I've been attacked by the state and the government for my private practice. Been, put out of business. Had, my business partners murdered by the, bad guys, Justice Department. Just like a whole toll of things that have happened to me. But as I've become more and more homeless, living in my cars and my van. The thing is like, if I'm homeless in my van, I don't want to be around cell phone towers. If I'm homeless in my van, I don't want to be around Wi-Fi and smart meters, right? Because these are choices that I could make, but it's getting to the point where there's not much more rope I have.
I know, right?
To get to the outskirts, to like try to remain as sane and together, as possible.
Well, but maybe not. Maybe that's our whole lesson here is, if we are a programmed issue or incident or body of measure, that we should be able to... That was a late hit. Pardon me.
You got some 420 going on there, Mona.
And it's only 3:42. 42.
You're close.
It's all on how we're going to react is where our future is going to be.
Yeah, Bobido, my
so glad that we found Mark, because I have learned so many things, got answered, etc. Because I knew as soon as those fires started, it was the chemtrails accelerant. And now that you look at these pictures where it was only zapped buildings and the other occurrences that are happening, if people can't see we're under attack, then F them. But I'm going to try to use my spiritual innuendo and power and bless everything, no matter effing what, because I am of love. I am not going to play their fear effing game. I am not going to try to promote it. And if people are in fear of the truth, then, okay, go hide in the corner somewhere. Goodbye. Because I don't have time to waste. None of us do. None of us do.
No, we don't have any time to waste. And so my teacher Bobido, I always, on other shows, I always talk about myself and my experiences. I don't really talk that much about my stuff on thing, but Bobido, anyway, he is my last teacher and Shoshone medicine elder from the Grand Tetons, and he was probably one of the most powerful men that I've ever met, as far as his work and his intent and his integrity and his medicines. But he used to tell me all the time, I talked to him about things, or he would come visit me, or whatever else would happen, or ceremonies, and he would always tell me, we're either going to do it the hard way on this globe, or we can do it the easy way. It's our choice. And he said, but the problem is that we're headed towards the bad. And he said, what'll happen is, what the main thing we'll do to try to clear it is that the earth will flip. And he knows that from prophecy and, from his work with the ancestors and also the extraterrestrials. And so,
magnetic kick, huh?
Yeah. And so, a lot of it depends on, if we're going to wake up. And people always say to me, I don't know what to do about what's going on. If they are awake. And it's like, I tell them, it's like, I don't know what to do. So
Hush a minute.
So I try to talk
Bridgette, we gotta hold our heart. We gotta hold our love. We gotta hold our honor for being the beings that we are with this planet. Nothing else matters.
Right, but I'm talking about action. Like
that is action.
I know, but
a lot of
action.
Pardon?
Right, but this is the deal. We have one of the worst 5G cylinder towers I've ever seen on any photo or whatever else that just got built here. Now, if the people don't take action in that area who work for these big companies, right, that are employed there, they're going to die.
But are you going to give this information to them? Because, have you?
I have been.
You've been putting your
they don't really, but they're like, but this is the thing is like me, like you know, until Mark came along as, you know, an expert in his field and could give us the actual information. So it wasn't so far scientifically kind of over our head.
Right.
I wasn't able to really kind of express, you know, this whole situation and dynamic.
Each different systems is interesting. That the UK's is different than ours, because I know the ones you're talking about. I have seen them and said, "Oh my God, what the hey is that?" It looks like a big stalk of nothing.
Yeah, giant cylinder on top of a pole, you know. And this one's huge. This thing is a behemoth. Like when I saw it, my knees bent. And I literally almost puked. I swear to God, because I couldn't even believe my eyes. Like that was it. And then that information, you know, when Mark was talking to us about how, you know, women are losing babies in the UK full term, like the baby ends up dead in their womb. I mean, I was just thinking about that. I was like, you know, you might as well could kill me, because if something like that happened to me, I'm not really sure that I could psychologically come back from that. That might be one of those things that might just
distrust, though. We're here to trust ourselves. Why would you not have the warrior battle in your heart to make sure that you walk your talk and you talk your walk? And I don't mean that to be inconsequential, but we still got to have heart for it. If we aren't centered in our hearts and we just keep thinking with our minds, that's what the whole system is. It's broken. I have mint growing out there, Bridgette, that should be shriveled up and ready for winter. It's not 3 feet from the smart meter, which has shungite all around it. But anyway, so it's going to be what it's got to be. But am I going to love it either way? If it was dry and waiting for spring, I'd still love it. But if I looked at it as something that wasn't right, that's the whole thing. We forgot to look at life with love. We've thought it as we're the prisoner of money, and how the corporation should get away with killing us and all life on this planet.
No, I totally agree. I totally agree about that path, the path of heart, whatever. But the bottom line is, you know, it's a path that I, you know, walk a lot. But the thing is that, you know, has really gotten to me in the last 3 weeks is that we have to like step it up a notch, right? We have to step it up to our legs taking us places physically, and we start talking to people, because this is the deal. You know, this is the most important feature about 5G is no one is going to survive it. That's what Mark said. Doesn't matter. These people have no idea who are building these bunkers and trying to move underground, the lead or whoever else, you know, we talk about it. They're not going to be able to survive it, right? So there's no way, there's no place that anyone's going to be able to run away from dealing with it, noticing it in their, in our schoolyards here, on the one high school in Sparks, I think it's Wooster High School, they have 2 huge cell phone towers, which are strapped with those units that Mark believes are the molecular generators, right? That can take the oxygen, you know, out of the air. And then the whole school, these are right on their football fields, right here in Reno area. And I want to go around with my camera and videotape them and get them on my YouTube channel. Because I want to showcase just in my area all the different, you know, cell phone towers, where they're at, what's on them, and the cylinder 5G towers, so that people can get like kind of I've got a couple on Consciousness of Economics and Urban Farm Project, right. 5G stuff, a couple of them that are down. And I don't know what's going on with my YouTube channel, but my YouTube channel is like blocked. Everything. Yeah, they've blocked all my videos from public. If you have links to them, you probably can watch them, but they're not visible in the public on my page anymore after a year old. So I have to figure out what the heck they're doing. They're obviously doing something. I'm sure there's
some. They did that to all mine. They used to be all in sequence of production, and they just like opened the door and let all the things loose. And I've still not found videos that I know are probably there somewhere. But you know, take that personal. I get
Well,
you.
yeah. So anyway, I've got some 5G things on Arena of like the atrocities that I've seen in the 5G, cylinders that are being built. But I want to do a whole thing. And the other day I was driving by Worcester, and there are the two huge cell phone towers right there on the football field, and they have things hanging all over them. I mean, we'll call them like super cell phone towers. I mean, how in anyone in their right mind can't look up at that and say, like, what the hell is that? And what is it doing to my kid? And I'm sitting under those two cell phone towers while I'm sitting on the bleachers and I'm watching the sports.
Oh, honey, it's the fluoride. It's the aspartame.
Well, this is the thing is we've blocked fluoride from being in Washoe County. We're the only county in Nevada that the fluoride did not go in the water. So we can't blame it here on the fluoride.
Oh, what Nestle's doing to Michigan's water, for $220 a year, they can take 80 million gallons of water a second.
Hey, for people out there that want to follow some really good people, one of the people that I found in the last month is this guy named Florida Marquis. And boy, is that guy with it, with world events and all the things that are going on. You should get on his site. I also wanted to give Mark a Mona show. Mona, when's your show? Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
Adventures of a Feral Hippie on Revolution Radio on Studio B. At what time does it start? 1 p.m. Eastern?
No. During the weekdays, we're at the 2, like 12, 2, 4, 6, 8. We go equal. Only on Saturday and Sundays are they odd numbers for the show times.
Oh, okay. All right. So anyway, but also if you want to get on Mark Steele's website, it also, you can sign up on it so that we can build a legislative community worldwide so that we can work together to stop the 5G. So if you are listening to me right now, it's US. Wait, let me think. Save Us Now. So SAVEUSNOW. Save Us Now. .org.uk. And you can sign up there, and so he'll be putting out, information and stuff like that. He's getting ready to go into some court trial of some kind. It's kind of carried over from this gag order that they tried to enforce on him.
Well,
the judge was kind enough to say that these people were not, the powers that be were not allowed to put a gag order on Mark, and that Mark should be, communicating with everybody he can about basically the 5G situation. And then it's coming back into trial where they're going to have people testifying and all kinds of stuff. So Mark, I think, is in the process of getting ready for that. And, the FOIAs that he's putting out, of course, are being denied. So it's up to us because our government isn't going to change. A lot of them are involved with what's going on. Like he said, Lee Garrett, his kids are having, this guy was going to try to get on the show, who's the average citizen in the UK that has contacted Mark about what's going on at his house. And Mark's been trying to help him with, getting on the record and trying to talk to some of these counselors. And they sent police to the door and basically beat the guy up and threw him in his garden. And the guy, that's who I was going to try to get on, but maybe we can get him on some shows to talk about his story in the near future. But so, I mean, that's what's going on. You can't call your police because they're going to create mass genocide with the 5G, but, they'll come to your door if you complain about it and, beat you up. So a lot of these
crazy.
Yep, a lot of these people who are running our system or involved in it are doing everything they can. I'm not saying all, so I know I have a tendency to generalize, but most, they are trying to stand in the way from people being able to complain and go on the record. Obviously, if you go on the record over and over again, and let me tell you something, if you go just in the United States, because I citizen lobbied in 2009, I fought against 50 bills. I learned law. I do common law for myself because I was attacked by the state and the federal government. And this is before they started murdering alternative practitioners. So, but you can go to any council or legislature and you can get on and testify
friend.
For 5G.
You just showed up, honey.
Oh, hey, Lee Garrett.
Mark Steele's on 5G, right? On talk about 5G on Skype. How can this be an ongoing call that I can hear when I'm not included in it? I don't understand.
Well, Mr. Windows,
there's a call going on.
Anyway, hi guys. You're on my radio show, and the radio show's getting ready to end.
Hey?
You are added to a radio show, and the show's ending right now after 2 hours. All right, everybody. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next week.
Radio at freedomslips.com, and we'll be right back after this message.
Will you fight? No! We will run! And we will live!
Shame on you!
This could be the greatest night of our lives. But you're gonna let it be the worst.
And I guarantee a week won't go by in your life you won't regret walking out, letting them get the best of you.
Well, I'm not going home.
We've got too far!
And I'm gonna stay right here and fight for this lost cause.
A day may come when the courage of men fails, but it is not this day.
The line must be drawn here. This far, no farther.
I'm not saying it's gonna be easy.
You're gonna work harder than you ever worked before.
But that's fine, we'll just get tougher with it.
If a person grits his teeth and shows real determination,
failure is not an option.
That's how winning is done.
Believe me when I say
we can break this army here.
And win just one for the Gipper.
But I say to you, what every warrior has known since the beginning of time,
you've got to get mad.
I mean plumb mad dog mean.
If you would be free men, then you must
fight to fulfill that promise. Let us
cut out their living guts 1 inch at a time.
And they will know what we can do.
Let no man forget how menacing we are. We are lions.
You're like a big bear, man.
This is your time.
Seize the day.
Never surrender.
Victory or death.
That's the Chicago way.
Who's with me?
Clap! Clap! Don't let him die! Clap!
All right, let's fly!
And gentlemen in England now abed shall
know my name is the Lord. When I tell our enemies that they may take our lives, but they'll never take our Independence Day.
Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. One world coming together to bring freedom home. You don't need to expect us. We're already here.
This is the people's war. It is our war. We are the fighters. Fight it then. Fight it with all that is in us. And may God defend the right.
Warning! Warning!
We gotta stop them! They're gonna kill us all!
See how the trouble you've started?
Be they the government, be they industry, be they organized labor, be they